All right. Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. It is Friday morning, January the 8th. Let me say good morning to everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. And let's see, say good morning to you, my mom. I love you. I hope you're having a great morning. Good morning to Kelly Kenfield and to Pat and Lori. Good morning, you guys. And to Richard and Ellen. Good morning. And shalom to you, Steve. Buenos dias to you, Elva. And good morning to you, Ruti, Boker Tov, to Jerry and Janet. And we've got Elizabeth and Philip and Jesse and Salome. Good morning, you guys. And Menyan and Rashad. Good morning to you. And let's see, we've got, hey, Jeff. How you doing, buddy? Jeff and Angelica, and good morning to Pastor and Sister Martinez, all the way out in Georgia these days. And let's see here, and I think, oops, am I in the, oh, just a second. Let me click over here and get to the one that's on my page. See if I missed anybody. Nope, not there. Okay. And good morning to Cher. Good morning, Cher. Good morning, Kathleen. It's good to all be together this morning. Well, today is the 8th, and we're going to look at Psalm 38, which is it's a really important psalm. It's certainly not one that I think people run to a lot. I think it's one that is a beautiful expression of repentance, a heart of repentance, a heart of that looks to search deep in the midst of dealing with a lot of pain, with a lot of suffering. In this psalm, we're going to see David talking about sickness in his body. He's dealing with a lot of pain in his body, and it's a lot of people will take this to say somehow that pain in your body, sickness in your body is the result of sin, based on things like this psalm. But that's certainly not never the case, but it's certainly not always the case. What you see is the effects of sin, the effects of holding on to sin, and especially when you know the ways of the Lord and you're walking in violation, it begins to have it has not just we're whole. It has an emotional, physical, spiritual toll. It takes a toll on us when we are not walking in alignment with the way God made us to. So it's like when you walk in obedience to Him, it's like getting into the stream of life. It's like just letting it goes against the grain of the world, but your spirit is whole. And that brings a wholeness to your body, and so that when you choose Him and His ways, you choose life. But to choose to walk in opposition to His ways is to now begin to resist life, is to walk away from life, and you begin to come undone, little by little, moment by moment, and there is that impact. So we see David here dealing with his own sin. Good morning, good evening to you, Dayspring. I see that you're on here, and Ron and Amy. So we see him dealing with his own sin, and the psalm opens up with, and again, this is a psalm. It is poetic, and so you can recognize too that he's describing things that are physical, but there are. I was actually out, and I'll talk to it when I get through here. There are things that I was trying to grasp in terms of the words, and I realized that there are words that are like there's poetry here. There's this in one particular section where the phrase, it could be saying one thing or another thing, but those two things it's what do you call it, a double, like it's a word play. A double entendre, but it's not a double entendre in any kind of negative way. So David opens up, and this is important to notice, is it says a Psalm of David for for a memorial, lahazakir, to the remembering. It's a memorial. And so Rabbi Hirsch wrote this. He says, it's David's desire to remember forever, even in days of happiness and prosperity, the emotions and thoughts that filled him during the sad period in his life when he penned this psalm. Prime among his thoughts is David's admittance that he was, that he was bowed down not so much by the suffering caused him by the onslaughts of illness and enemies, as much as by his guilt, the remorseful realization that he had deserved these sufferings. So what David is wrestling with in this is his own sin, and with the impact of that. And so let's look at this right from the beginning. He says in verse 2, Adonai, do not rebuke me in your anger. Do not, yachak is rebuke, a punishing correction. In your chatzaf is this word for kind of being provoked to wrath. And even it can sound almost slight, like in your annoyance, in your irritation, in your displeasure. Don't rebuke me. And don't discipline me, yasar, don't chastise me in your heat. So there's a recognition, I believe that there's a recognition on David's part here that rebuke and you'll see that there is, that rebuke and chastisement that are necessary. What he's asking the Lord to do is not to do so from a place of his heat, of anger, of wrath. That the Lord would correct him. There's a recognition of the need for correction here. But he says, verse 3, he says, because or for your arrows have sunk deep into me. They've penetrated deeply. They've descended into me. He says, and your hand has pressed down on me. And it's the same word, sunk. The arrows have sunk deep, and your hand has sunk deep. It's the same word, that it's penetrated deeply. Okay, it's going deep. This pain is hitting me deeply. Verse 4 says, there is no health in my flesh because of your indignation. There is no wholeness in my bones because of my sin. So this is a key verse in this passage where he says there's no health. It says ein matom. The word tom or tam, right? We've talked about this word before. It's also a word that can mean integrity, wholeness, soundness. When we talk in terms of character, it's that what's on the outside is consistent with what's on the inside, but it has to do with soundness. When you talk about the matom of a building, you're talking about the structure, that it is strong. And what he's expressing here is there is no soundness in my body, my flesh, in my basar, in the physically. So he's speaking physically here. But the word that in terms of the soundness is not simply a word that refers to physical well-being or sickness. In fact, I want to look at Isaiah very quickly, the beginning of Isaiah, chapter 1, verses 4 through 6. And the Lord uses this word. I mean, it's throughout Scripture, but he says, Oi, a sinful nation, a people weighed down with iniquity, offspring of evildoers, sons dealing corruptly. Again, God's dealing with his own people here, by the way, with the children of Israel, with the ones who look righteous. You'll see later, if you continue in chapter 1, later he says, these people are faithfully, keeping the new moons and the Shabbat, doing Rosh Chodesh and keeping the Shabbats and the high holidays perhaps, but he says, they make me sick because I'm not really interested in that stuff. I want you to do justice, take care of the widows, take care of the orphans. I want you to stop doing wrong, learn to do right. He's like, get your hands, you raise your hands to me, get them out of my sight, they're filled with blood. So he's dealing with his own people here, and he says, a sinful nation, a people weighed down with iniquity, offspring of evildoers, sons dealing corruptly. They have abandoned Adonai. They have despised Israel's Holy One. They have turned backward. Where will you be struck again as you stray away more and more? The whole head is sick. The whole heart is faint. From the foot to the head there is no metom, no soundness, no integrity. Wounds, bruises, and raw sores, not pressed, nor bandaged, nor softened with oil. We can't go into Isaiah this morning, but you see that picture that it's a metaphor spiritually of what's happening within the body of his people, and that there is no soundness there. And David is experiencing in his own physical body where the physical is reflecting something in the spiritual. And you'll recall, I think we read this psalm to open up Psalm 32. I think we opened up the last week's Shabbat service with it, where David says, "Blessed is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is pardoned. Blessed is the one whose guilt Adonai does not count, in whose spirit there is no deceit." There's no, because if in your spirit there's no deceit, there's a wholeness, there's truth, that there's an inward truth. He says, "When I kept silent, my bones became brittle through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength was drained as in the droughts of summer." And so again, you have this picture of the way sin and the way rebelling against God and walking against his ways and then holding it in, trying, rather than confessing it, but trying to just to press on, not deal with it, not even deal with it inwardly, but to continue to walk in a way that is against the author of life, that it is like you're coming apart. Rather than getting in the flow of his life, you're going in opposition, trying to go upstream against his life. So back in today's Psalm 38, verse 5, he says, because my iniquities, my twistings, my anah, my twistings are on my head. It says avru roshi, they pass through my head. My twistings go through my head, like I am consumed by this, like a burden, like a cargo, masa, something I'm carrying, but it's too heavy for me. Uses the word kaved, which is similar to glory, kavod, a weightiness, but this is cargo I can't carry. This is cargo that is too weighty, too strong for me. Verse 6, he says, my wounds, ba'ash, they stink, they reek. There's a foul smell. My wounds are foul, and that speaks of a stink that comes with his wounds. They're foul and they're festering, they're decaying because of my evil, my foolishness. So there's a recognition here. He's talked about previously in the previous verse. He said, because of my sin. There's no wholeness in me. This has to do with because of my sin. And where it said in verse 3, my sin, it had to do with the word chata, which is to miss. Some of this is because I missed the mark. I missed it, right? And that affects me. But here he's saying, but my iniquities, my twisting things, perverting things, bending things, making things crooked, all of that is working against me. This is my foolishness, he says. And verse 7 is a play on the word, on the twisting, where he says, my iniquities are a burden. In verse 7 he says, I am twisted over, I am bent over. So it's this picture of being bent over, but the twisting has twisted him. The iniquities have a physical impact on him, a holistic impact, physically, spiritually, emotionally. He's twisted up. He says, I am twisted up, I'm bent over, and I'm bowed down greatly. Shachti ad ma'od, which means I'm humbled until big, until great, which means I'm humbled greatly, or I've been humbled big time. All day I walk about in mourning. because my heart is filled with burning pain, and there is no health in my body. Okay, so this is that verse that was, I got to it, and I when I looked at the Hebrew, I'm waiting for it to say lev, some form of the word lev, because in the English here it reads my heart. But the word used here is the word kesel. So I look up kesel, and the primary meaning for kesel is folly, foolishness. But I'm going, well, that doesn't make sense. How come this says heart and the word is foolishness? And I look to a secondary, more remote meaning, and the more remote meaning is of the same word is like your sinews, like your tendons, the things that connect your joints. And so it could be a medical term as well. So this very same word could be a medical term relating to your tendons and your joints, and it also is a term that is more traditionally used as folly. And then he says, and then the next word is, so my tendons are fully accomplished, are full or complete, malu, with kala, which is this, again, the primary meaning of kala, is to be of low esteem, to be treated with contempt, to be dishonored, disdain. But there's a secondary meaning of kala that can be to be like burning with fever. So this same phrase can say, my tendons, my joints are on fire, right? There's a burning in my joints. My joints are full of burning, is what it says. Or it says, my folly has been fulfilled or completed, finished in disdain, with disgrace, and with shame. So both of those phrases make sense, and both of them in different ways fit within the context of the psalm, right? He's dealing with a lot of physical stuff here. So the idea of his joints burning, being filled with a burning, makes sense. But he's also addressed his sin, his twisting, his foolishness. And now he says, my folly has culminated in, been completed in disgrace, shame, contempt. So I think that could be a wordplay. I didn't find that explanation anywhere. It's just, it could be a wordplay where both things could be read and both things are related. And then he continues, and there is no metom, there is no soundness, no completeness in my body. So the foolishness, the full filling up of the foolishness has not just causing a burning in every bend, right? But there is just he is falling apart. Verse 9. So now he's not necessarily burning. Now he says, I am numb. I am feeble. I am pug. I'm prostrated, like powerless. I'm just laying there. I am numb and utterly crushed. I am he says, I am daka, I am crushed, pulverized, ad ma'od. We used ad ma'od a minute, until greatly. So I am pulverized greatly, until a lot is what it says. Big time, right? I'm pulverized. I groan, sha'ag, I roar like a lion. Is the You're welcome. I roar because of anguish, because of a groaning of anguish in my heart. The roaring that's coming out in all of the pain is because of the groaning and the anguish, the roaring that's going on within. This outer expression is an overflow of what's happening within. Verse 10, he says, Adonai, and uses the word Adonai like my Lord, my Master, not the name of God here. My Adonai, all my longing is before you. He says, you remember, we've talked about this word, negedcha, which is neged, is to be disclosed to you. Like you see it, it's revealed, it's opened up for you. It's like the word for revelation. It's all that I crave, all that I desire, all that's beautiful to me is revealed. It's laid out before you. You see it. He says, and my sighing is not a secret from you, is not hidden from you. Verse 11 says, my heart pounds, and the word used for it says, sacharchar is the word, sacharchar. And sachar is a word that's used to talk about going about, even like merchandise that's traveled, like in all over the place, that's shipped from here to there and everywhere. And so he's saying, my heart is all over. Sachar is to go around. My heart is sacharchar, is to go around and around. It's racing. Let's just say that. My heart is racing. My heart's all over the place. My strength fails me. He's saying my ability, my capacity, my my strength, my ability to do anything, has abandoned me, is what he says. And the light of my eyes, and what you can't see here, it says, gam hem, also them, my eyes, even my eyes, I can't see. The light of my eyes, it's not there. Ain et. There's no light in my eyes. This is a dark place. Even I can't see light. I can't see hope. My heart is racing. My head is, everything's going through my head. My iniquity. It's all bad. Verse 12. My friends, ochavi, my loved ones, those that I love, my friends and my companions, they stay away from my wound. And it's from the neged, from the revelation of my affliction, of my plague. From that they stand. They're like, no thanks. From seeing it, and my kinsmen, the ones that are typically close to me, is the word used here. Karav is to draw near, to draw close. Those who draw close to me, they are standing from a distance. So he's isolated. He feels totally alone. He's in emotion. He feels in physical pain. There's an emotional turmoil that's going on. Relationships are just those that he loves. There's a distance. They're not close. Because of this anguish because of what's happening, and then he's got enemies who are coming against him. So those that I want to be close to me, they're not near me, and then there are those who are setting traps. They who seek my life, those who are desiring my soul, is what he says. Those who are the word used for to seek here is mavakasha, like what you would say, the way you would say bavakasha. Is to say, please, may I have? Bavakasha, it's a request. Those who are saying, please, Bavakasha, they want my soul. They're asking for my soul, and they're setting traps. Please let me have them. Setting traps for my soul. So now we see a spiritual aspect to this. I don't believe this is somehow just, it could be talking about what's happening in the physical, but I think we see a spiritual, the work of the enemy in terms of in pursuit of my soul. There are traps being set by the ones seeking my soul. Those who seek my hurt, and the word seek here is darash, right? Is to investigate. We do midrash from the investigation of the word. Midrash is to investigate, to bring from the investigation. Well, these that are investigating, how can we bring calamity to him? Those who investigate my hurt, who are investigating ways to bring calamity to me. They speak words of destruction. They threaten, dibru ha'uot. They speak of ruin and misery. And umirmot, uttering lies all day, but it's umirmot has to do with, and deceit all day they devise. Words of deceit lies they devise the whole day. It's interesting on that word mirma, is kind of a combo word, which rama means arrows. And so the deceit is, mirma is from, rama, arrows, mirma, from arrows. So this deceit is their arrows all day long, devising how from arrows they can destroy me with their mirma. So they're threatening my life. They're speaking, threatening destruction all day. So how does he respond to that? What does he do now? He says, va'ani. So there's this emphatic I, but I, va'ani, but I, like someone deaf, hear nothing, or I'm not listening. They're threatening my ruin. The enemy that the enemies that are in pursuit of my soul, that seek to lay traps, who are investigating ways for my destruction and shooting their arrows all day long. I'm not listening, like a deaf man. And like a mute, not opening his mouth. Yes, verse 15, and he doesn't actually say yes, but he repeats the same thing with an and, so it's kind of like yes. And I am like one who cannot hear. I have become like a man who cannot hear, whose mouth has no arguments, in whose mouth there is no tochachtot, is reasonings, legal arguments. I'm not defending myself. I'm not going to listen to them, but I'm not going to defend myself. So what do I do? What do I do when the enemy is coming and making accusation and making threats and I'm freaking out? Am I going to listen to that? Am I going to take it in? Am I going to stand up and start making my legal arguments and defending myself? What do I do in that moment? What do I do? Because I'm dealing with my own iniquity. I'm dealing with my own sin. I'm listening to this. It's coming from every which way, every direction, inside and out. There's just total turmoil. I'm coming apart at the seams, he says, basically. Verse 16, I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to hear their lies. I'm not going to hear their threats. And I'm not going to come to my defense because this. It says, it doesn't actually say but, it says ki. Ki lecha, because you, Adonai. Because to you, Adonai, I hope, I wait, I endure. I wait, I expect, my hope is in you. That's why. Because I'm looking to you. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to defend myself. I'm going to look to you. You will answer, and there's an emphatic you, an ata ta'aneh Adonai Elohai. You will answer, my master, my God. Verse 17, so now this is his prayer. I said, because I declared because he knows the Lord will answer, because he called on the Lord, because I declared this, ki amarti. Lord, don't let them gloat over me. He says, pen yishmechu li, lest otherwise they rejoice over me, or exalt themselves over me when my foot slips. He says, from the staggering, the tottering of my foot against me, they would be magnified. Don't let that happen. Ki ani, because here it says, I'm about to fall and my pain is before me constantly. It says, as for me, letzala nakon. It says, toward limping, so this word tzala is limping or to be lame. And then nakon is to stand. So it can be, but so here it's translated, I'm about to fall, like I'm heading toward a limping stand, like I'm about to limp. But it also could be understood, and I'm prepared to limp. So there's this imagery of Jacob having wrestled with God. I'm about to have a limp in my stand because of wrestling with you. When I come out of that, I know when I come through all of this, having received your correction, having wrestled with you, I've come to you, and I'm prepared to come out limping. My pain is before me, is disclosed to me continually. Verse 19. So I disclose, neged. I disclose my guilt. I confess my guilt. Oh, until I spoke, until I confessed it. What did he say in Psalm 32? Your hand was heavy upon me. It was like the droughts of summer. It was, the strength for me was sapped. All this was happening until I confessed my sin to you. And so now, verse 19, he says, so I disclose my guilt to you. As though the Lord himself, it's already before him. But as I now deal with it openly and bring it to the Lord, I disclose my guilt to you. I am da'ag, I am anxious, I am in dread, concerned, mechatati, from my sin. Because of my sin. That's where my anxiety, this is because I missed it. I missed you, Lord. My lively enemies, my vigorous enemies are vast, they're numerous, they're powerful. Many hate me wrongfully. They hate me in shoker, in deception, falsely, with no grounding. And those who repay evil for good oppose me because I pursue what is good. And it says, shalmei, and from the ones shaloming, repaying, making whole or restitution, compensating, ra'ah tachat tova, evil instead of good. Here it says yistuni is oppose me. And that's the word for Satan, for Satan, the accuser. They accuse me. The ones who are trading evil for good, repaying evil for good, accusing me. Instead of, here it says, because I pursue what is good, but it uses that word tachat again, instead of. So evil instead of good, and then accusing me, tachat, instead of pursuing, hunting after good. Verse 22, do not forsake me, Adonai. Do not azav, abandon me. Oh my God, be not far. Don't be distant, remote from me. Chushal azrati, hurry to help me. Hurry to my aid. My Lord, Adonai teshuati, my Lord, my salvation, my rescuer, my deliverance to victory. The word Yeshua, salvation, is always this picture of being saved from defeat and into victory, being brought into victory. Lord, hurry to help me. Hurry to my deliverance, to my rescue, to bring me to victory. And the turning point in that, right, is where he confesses to the Lord, where there's this internal recognition, and he keeps coming back, not pointing the finger, not blaming the enemies. He keeps coming back to, because of my sin, because of my folly, because of my twisting. I'm all twisted up because of my foolishness. I am in disgrace because of the fulfillment of my own folly. And these are the consequences. And I need you, Lord. Would you not discipline me in your wrath? But would you step in and mercifully stop the threats? I'm not going to listen to the threats. I'm not going to defend myself. I'm going to confess myself to you. I'm going to confess my sin to you. Please, Lord. I am in distress, anxiety because of my sin. Would you hurry to help me? That's our prayer. Search me, know me, look deep within me. Let there be truth in the inward place. And bring me out of that place into a wide open space. Bring me into freedom. Cleanse me. Make me whole. Make me new. I don't want to walk in denial. I don't want to walk in deflection. I don't want to spend my life blaming other people for the consequences of my own choices. But Lord, deal with me. Let there be truth in the inward place. If we can come to a place where we can be humble before the Lord, then the Lord is pleased. He's pleased to hold back from the punishment that is due. What is the discipline God brings? he brings in order to bring a correction and a turning. And when we reject or we refuse or we aren't shaped by his discipline, often things have to get worse and worse. That's what happened with Pharaoh, right? How bad do things have to get? How many, until it's going to get worse and worse and worse? What's it going to take? And in our own lives, the most destructive thing we can do is walk around with self-pity and deflection and not taking responsibility. It will absolutely ravage your life. It will ravage my life. You'll lose everything. But if we'll, in honesty, come to the Lord and say, it's because of my sin, it's because of my folly, I need you, Lord. Would you intervene? Yeah, I know this is all happening, and I had something to do with this. Is me, Lord. Hurry up, please. Don't discipline me in your heat, in your anger, in your wrath. Come to my salvation. I get it. And I turn to you, right? That's how our genuine repentance, when we recognize what we've done and we confess it, it's disclosed. We openly confess it to the Lord. When we speak it plainly, when we have understanding of this is where I sinned. I can through the years, I could excuse every time, I could have a justification for every time I was unkind to my wife. Well, she this and she that. And if I continue to do that, if I always have a justification and an explanation to myself of, well, why this was okay, then I'll never turn from that because I'm justifying it. But when I recognize, boy, I was being destructive, that was me. And whatever anyone else did, I got to deal with what did I do and what should I have done. And Lord, deal with me and help me to turn from that. That's the way we have to walk if we want to walk in life. And in when we talk about health, I'm not just talking about physical health. This idea that you're not going to suffer physically because you're walking righteously it's not true. Job disqualifies that altogether, right? But in terms of a wholeness within your spirit, to have shalom within you because you know you're walking in the ways of the Lord, search me, know me. All right, boy, I think I went around to the same idea multiple times there. I tend to do that sometimes. Well, let me say good morning to anybody that I did miss. Good morning to Charlene. Good morning to you. And I think I did say John and Jan, good morning, you guys. Let's see. No, that's everybody there. And I think that may be. We got, hey, Barbara Callahan, and good morning, Kelly Woods in Kansas City. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. And the Eddies, good to have you guys here. Lauren and David and Levi and Valor and Haven and Everett. Good morning to you all as well. I think that's everybody. All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, shalom. Have a beautiful day.